Hello, my lovely people. It's time to open another Scrawlrbox. It's been a while. Let's open this up. I have had this one sitting on my desk for way too long. But there's watercolor. I'm excited. Okay. Cool gray tone watercolory sticker. Oop, dropping stuff. We got ourselves some lemon yellow, some hookers, green dark, some ultramarine blue dark, some raw sienna. This is a lot of paint. Some Chinese white. And some alizarin crimson hue. So it's a... There's no purple, but kind of goes like this. Nice. We also have a Chinograph for films, plastics, china, and glass pencil. I'm gonna have to read about that. And then same thing in white. Interesting. We have a really fancy looking water brush. I hope this is better than the last Derwent water brush I remember having because it leaked everywhere. But this one's got a really big well. And yeah, we'll give that a try. We got Puds sticky toffee pudding, and the zine, and our print, which is Beautiful Flamingo Mama and Baby by Camilla Gardner. Born in Durham County. Art school in England. And lots of art stuff. Here is social media and the picture again. And then we have 300 GSM cold press. Oh, nice thick. 8 pieces. Okay, I need to know about these pencils. Real Sovereign Chinograph pencils. These versatile pencils will work on virtually any surface, including china, plastics, acetate film, wood, and glass. Resistant to water. You can remove them from non-porous surfaces with dry cloth or tissue, so not paper. Making an interesting pairing with watercolor paints. Extremely accessible and easy to use, and can be sharpened with normal pencil sharpener. And our prompt is birds of a feather, and the theme is working with layers to create palatable textures. Yaha! Okay, I'm gonna go get some water and we can give this a try. Hello and welcome back to I have an experience measuring burnout, so I haven't been doing YouTube in like months and I feel terrible about it. Thank you for coming. And yeah, insert dialogue that has begun most of my videos since 2020 about how I've been super stressed and trying to take care of myself and all of that, so I haven't been focusing on YouTube. Ta-da! The saga continues, but today, of all days, today is the first day of summer! At least for me. I'm not sure if it will be by the time I get this video out, but by the time I am recording this audio, it is the first day of summer. And I do not have to go to work for like 2 months, and it's going to be great. I have big plans. I have many plans. I'm not sure if I'm going to do all the plans because I need to take care of myself as well, and hopefully I can get back to doing the things I enjoy, like weekly, or at least every other weekly, YouTube videos, because I don't have a million followers and I don't have a huge, group of people watching my videos, but I still really like making them and, do what you enjoy. Also, it gives me an obligation to make art every week or so. And, speaking of obligations, we have a new obligation box, also known as a Scrawlrbox. This one I was excited about because I love watercolor. Watercolor is a lot of fun, and but never really used liquid watercolor very much. I don't want to say never, even though I started that sentence with never, because, I don't know, I have a terrible memory, and I probably have used liquid watercolor before, but not in recent memory. Stuff came out of the tube very easily, was incredibly saturated. I struggled with, starting with it, adding enough water to make it painterly and not globular. And honestly, some part of the painting is pretty globular. Tried to treat it kind of like gouache, probably more than I should have, but at least with the yellows and greens at the end with the background, this is probably crazy. Super duper crazy saturated. More so than I normally do, so that was kind of fun. I had birds of a feather as a theme, and I decided to go with owls. I have started watching Owl House on Disney Plus, and I love it, and I've been a little obsessed lately, so owls were definitely on the brain. Also, they're one of the only birds that I've been able to, draw decently. Their faces got a little squeezed in the rendering, but also they're owls, so I guess that's okay. Anyway, so I started out sketching out with the black pencil that was included. It was like a waterproof draw-on glass pencil, which did not erase, and had this really, waxy feel to it, which, makes it waterproof, I assume. So I had to sketch very carefully, and very lightly, and I filled in some of the blackest areas, because of course I didn't have a black paint. I know how to make black, but, it existed, and it was here, so I went ahead and went with it. And with the white pencil, I went in and added details, thinking that it would, resist the watercolor, which it did for the first, 2 layers, and then eventually it kind of washed away. So, yeah, but also I think it's kind of washable too. I don't know. But if you're just going to do a very light wash and not brush over it very much, it does resist, and it is kind of nice because it's a very fine point for resisting. So, that was nice. I like barn owls quite a lot, so I started with a barn owl, and if you go back to some of my old years ago videos, I've got a video of doing a barn owl, and that's still hanging up in my house, and is probably one of my favorite art pieces that I have hanging up in my house, because it's nice and stuff. I don't know. Anyway, barn owl. Barn owls are cool. And then I wound up doing a, I think great horned owl? I think. It's got horns. It's got fluffy ear things. Did you know that those aren't ears, though? Those are just kind of expressive tufts of feathers. An owl's ears are actually on the sides of their faces, and the reason why they have rings of feathers around their faces is basically their entire face is a big ear. How crazy is that? If you want to see something really funny looking, look up pictures of naked owls, specifically barn owls, because they're so elegant and beautiful and very the labyrinth gorgeous, Goblin King beauty, and then they definitely look like goblins when you take away all the feathers. It's hilarious. And other owls are hilarious too. Their eyeballs are way too big. But that's how they see. Owls are also silent killers. They have fringes on the edges of their feathers, especially their flight feathers, which soften the sound of the wind hitting their feathers, and they are able to fly and hunt silently at night, which is all kinds of crazy. And in elementary school, I and many other people have experienced the wonders of dissecting an owl pellet. Was it technically poop? No. It was a compacted, that's the word, ball of hair and bones, a form of owl vomit. And I think somewhere, in some case, somewhere out there, I have a tiny jewelry box that has a vole skull in it from when I dissected an owl pellet. And I broke the rules of school and stole it, because we weren't allowed to take things from the owl pellets, and I didn't give a poop because I got a whole skull and I thought it was amazing, thus starting my gruesome habit of skull collecting, which peaked in college, and then when I moved to Europe, I had to leave all of them behind. Sad. I haven't really picked up that hobby since because I don't have any room. Also, I don't know the laws about doing such a hobby here. Texas didn't really give a frick. I have gotten off task. Back to the art, yes. So, watercolors. Took me a long time to kind of figure out how to use them and how much water. I'm happy with the end result, but I would have probably done better with my pans because I'm more comfortable with them. The black pencil worked well as a black pencil. I'm interested in trying to use it on other things, especially if I want to draw on glass at any point. Same goes for the white pencil. It did not really resist the way I hoped it would, but it worked. And the watercolors were watercolory, and the brush, while huge and bulky and obnoxiously large, worked pretty well. I feel like the science behind water-included paintbrushes has gotten better over the years. Because in the past, they would just leak everywhere and it sucked. But also, they're the first thing I learned to watercolor with. And actually, when I first started watercoloring, I highly struggled with how much water to add. So using the internal watercolor brushes really kind of gave me the crutch to get comfortable with how much water to use. And yeah, now it's my favorite medium. I have really ranted and rambled, and I at least have a lot of energy behind my voice. I don't know what I'm saying. Anyway, all in all, I liked this box. It was entertaining, it was fun. I'm not sure if I'll use the materials again anytime soon, but they have been added to my material storage. The painting is quite nice. I like the colors. And the pencils will go to where I put all my pencils, and yeah, it was fun. It was good. This one sat on my desk for a long time, but I am happy to have finally sat down and done it, and sitting next to me on my desk is already the next obligation box, which is calling out to me. But I'll get to it when I get to it. Until then, thank you for joining me, and I hope you are having a lovely time, and hope I can get out more videos soon. As always, thank you to my amazing patrons, Mom, Dad, Jamie, Cindy, Jafo, Beth, Kaze, Hans, and as always, Jigme. If I could ever properly pronounce it. Thank you, and see you hopefully soon in the future. Bye.